Tonight, act like a friend. Transport for London's big idea to make all of us more responsible for the safety of our fellow passengers. TfL wants its customers to step in if they see somebody being harassed on the network, only if it's safe to do so, they say, to help tackle the growing problem of hate crime.
I was looking around to see, can anybody hear what I'm hearing? I guess I was looking for a bit of support from other passengers.
Also on the programme tonight.
Can you get off my... He's squeezing my hand! Arrest. He's squeezing my arm!
A policeman who wrongly arrested a woman in front of her young son faces misconduct proceedings. The shoplifter who stole his loot by throwing it over a wall. And Mr. and Mrs. Whitehall are leaving home and bringing their podcast to the London stage.
Find out about our upcoming tour of our podcast, The Wittering Whitehall's Barely Alive.
Are you going on tour?
We're both going on tour.
Good evening. If you saw a fellow passenger on the tube, train or bus being harassed, would you be brave enough to step in? Transport for London is encouraging its customers to intervene with a new campaign which it's calling Act Like a Friend. It can be really powerful, says TfL, to strike up a conversation with the targeted person and make them feel less alone. Reports of hate crime are on the rise, with more than a third of passengers saying they worry about their safety on the network. But do TfL's customers really have to be responsible for one another's protection, or should the answer be more police and better security? Here's Graham Stothart.
Why did you not want to talk to me, man? Shooting off or something?
Can't you see me? Can you not see me sitting here?
These are true stories of abuse, harassment and hate crime. Here, recreated by actors, but no less real. It happens every day to people using London transport. Sophia knows all too well. She was racially abused by a group of teenagers on the Elizabeth line.
I was looking around to see, can anybody hear what I'm hearing? And I guess I was looking for a bit of support from other passengers, which sadly I didn't get, so I felt very alone.
TfL's new Act Like a Friend campaign aims to stop that being the norm. It says often helping is as simple as talking.
Just start conversation with them, ask them what the next stop is, tell them how much you like their trainers. Simple words that you can use that diffuse a situation.
This comes as reports of hate crimes on the network increase. There were nearly 2,000 last year, up 28% on the year before. 34% of people say they worry about their own safety. In Stratford, where TfL were raising awareness today, we asked people whether they'd intervene.
I have seen it on the tube. I did say out loud, that's wrong. You shouldn't do that. I got a mouthful of abuse.
I'd like to think that I would do something, but in the moment, I'm not too sure.
I'd like to intervene if I could, if I feel like I can get into the situation where I can intervene.
TfL says this campaign has a focus on disability hate crime, something Londoner Adam has been subject to.
Couple had asked me what is wrong with you. My response is nothing is wrong with me because I'm a happy-go-lucky person. However, they said no, we pay for you, so we deserve to know what's wrong with you.
There has been some criticism of the campaign video as it doesn't feature any people with disabilities.
We welcome TfL obviously doing something. We would like to see greater representation of disabled people and disability hate crime in this campaign. But wider, we think TfL should also put resources and work more strategically to address reasons behind hate crime.
TfL says the campaign aims to tackle all hate crime and harassment. With millions of journeys made every day, the millions of people taking them deserve to feel safe.
Well, Graham, I guess the question from a lot of people, a lot of passengers watching that will be, why can't TfL just employ more staff?
Yeah, and it's a valid question. They mentioned it to me today. They said, well, actually, if there is a member of staff around who can intervene, they will try. Of course, you could mention it to a member of staff if you see it happening. But the point is, it's such a busy network. Could you have an enforcement officer on every single service, on every single carriage, on every single bus? Probably not, but there'll always be passengers. Now, They're not asking passengers to intervene directly. It might just be a kind word to the victim after it's happened. It might be noting down where you are on the route, what's being said, who seems to be the protagonist, you know. They also said to me that these kind of hate crimes tend to reflect what's going on in the wider world. They saw a spike after Brexit. They saw a spike after with the current Middle East crisis. So the reporting of these issues is what they want, because it's only if they see reports of them then they can better address the issue.
All right, Graham, thanks very much. A police officer who wrongly arrested a passenger in front of her young son will find out this week if he'll keep his job. PC Perry Lathwood left Jocelyn Ajima bruised as she got off the bus in Croydon after he stopped her on suspicion of not paying her fare. A misconduct hearing began today with body cam footage showing how events unfolded. You may find some of the pictures in Kafo Pata's report distressing.
2 years ago, Operation Greyhound was in full swing, an initiative between the Met and Transport for London to catch fare evaders. But then, in July of that year, Jocelyn Ajaman, who had already paid for her bus fare, was stopped and arrested in front of her crying son.
Can you tell him to get off? Can you get off me?
Today, the misconduct hearing for the arresting officer, PC Perry Lathwood. Under the police's own code of ethics, use of force must be necessary, proportionate and reasonable. It was argued that this body cam footage instead showed unnecessary use of force and therefore breached the code.
Can you get off my... He's squeezing my hand. Arrest. He's squeezing my arm.
The Code of Ethics also states that behaviour and language cannot be reasonably perceived to be abusive or oppressive. It was argued that PC Lathwood spoke in a sexist and dismissive manner to Miss Ajiman.
There's a road behind you, you daft cow. Stand here.
PC Lathwood denies his actions amounts to gross misconduct. Jocelyn Ajiman believes they do. We just heard some very tearful testimony from Jocelyn Ajiman. She wasn't able to answer any questions without sobbing, without crying. She was asked by Perry Lathwood's lawyer if she snatched her card away from the card reader after she had been stopped. She said that's not how she remembers things. She was asked, rather it was insinuated that she barged into Perry Lathwood. She said she did not. She was asked if she was aware that everyone, including her son, had told her to stop. "Mummy, stop," was the quote referenced. She said that's not what happened, but rather her son, sensitive as he is, was upset by the situation. In the coming days, PC Lathwood will give his accounts of what happened and finds out if he's managed to keep his job. Kaf Opata, ITV News.
A Jewish community centre in North London has celebrated the release of the Israeli hostages by cutting more than 5,000 padlocks from a footbridge. The locks, bearing the names of hostages and messages of support, started appearing at the entrance to JW3 in Hampstead 18 months ago.
We never wanted this in the first place. We never wanted it to be here longer than 24 hours or a week. The fact that it's taken over 2 years for the hostages to be released has just broken our hearts repeatedly. So today's the day that we've been talking about for a long time.
And there's plenty more on a day of historic developments in the Middle East on the ITV Evening News. With the details, here's Mary.
Coming up on the programme, moments of joy and relief as the last surviving Israeli hostages are released and reunited with their families. In return, Israel begins to free hundreds of Palestinian prisoners and detainees. And the man behind the deal flies into Israel. Donald Trump hails an historic dawn of a new Middle East. And here, why more than 1 million drivers could be in line for a payout over claims that car makers cheated diesel emission tests. Would you join me for those stories and more at 6:30?
Bus drivers in the capital have called for a full inspection of cleaning standards across the network after reports of cockroach infestations. Routes 55, 159 and 345 are reportedly affected, with bugs found between seats and under floor panels. One driver says they found 4 cockroaches in their drink during a rest break. TfL says it takes cleanliness seriously and it's urgently investigating. And the Met Police are offering a reward of up to £20,000 for any information that could lead to the identification and prosecution of those responsible for the death of Hanif Redwood. 1 year ago today, the 32-year-old father of two was shot dead outside the Factory 15 venue in Barking. Despite multiple arrests, there have been no charges brought in connection with his murder. Now, a brazen shoplifter who stole stock worth thousands of pounds from a string of DIY stores has been jailed. Daniel Cleveland's criminal campaign involved 11 shops in Greenwich, Kent, Essex and Buckinghamshire. He was even filmed on CCTV casually throwing some of his loot over a wall, as Joe Coshen reports.
Walking into B&Q in Larkfield, Daniel Cleveland, dressed in a grey striped shirt, looks like any other customer. He heads to the bathroom section, loading his trolley up with bathroom taps, but he never intends to pay. But rather than trying to evade security scanners at the front door, Cleveland goes to the shop's outdoor garden centre. As soon as the coast was clear, he lobs the items over the fence, knowing an accomplice was waiting on the other side with a getaway vehicle on false plates. But little did Cleveland know it was all caught on the store's CCTV, including his failed throws. A month on, at his home in Bromley in south-east London, he knew the game was up.
So basically under arrest for theft, for numerous thefts from B&Qs.
Later, pleading guilty to 9 counts of theft and 3 counts of attempted theft. The Met hopes this will send a clear message to shoplifters, but the British Retail Consortium say more needs to be done to tackle this new wave of organised crime.
This individual case sends a message that shoplifting isn't acceptable, but for every one of these that goes to court successfully, there are literally dozens of others which will never see the inside of a courtroom, often because the individuals are simply never caught and never apprehended. So we do need more action by the police to catch criminals, to prevent this huge cost, which ultimately is borne by us as consumers, because all it ends up doing, this 2.2 billion a year in shoplifting, ends up simply pushing up prices for you and I.
The location of the stolen goods remains unknown, and the Met say inquiries are ongoing to find Cleveland's accomplice, while he begins a 3-year jail sentence. Joe Coshen, ITV News.
Still to come on the programme, we're on the red carpet for a very modern reboot of a Shakespeare classic. Plus,
Just say that again, Jack. Just say that again.
Why have you not RSVP'd to my wedding?
Well, we're busy that day.
how the Whitehalls are taking their podcast from Southwest London to the London stage. But first, a story is a powerful one if it changes the way you think, and the debut film from award-winning actor turned director Susan Wokoma aims to do just that. Dark Skin Bruises Differently landed a prize slot at the London Film Festival and tells the story of a teacher and a student and hidden bias in the classroom. Before we talk about that with the filmmaker, let's have a quick look at where you might have seen Susan before, who's also an actor and comedian.
Invented the game.
I wanted it to be, like I said, victim-based.
Yeah.
And you were the victim, I'm so sorry.
I'm not very good around conflict. Even if it's none of my business, I end up trying to fix it.
It's fine, I don't need your life story.
Well, I like games, board games, and...
Why are you telling me this?
Well, because you should have asked already. And as my sister Tracy will be back tomorrow, I don't want to waste any time, that's all.
Enola is on her own path. And so, for better or worse, is Eudoria.
What a mischief, you two.
Mischief? A poor choice of word.
Oh, proper drama at the end there.
Bit of drama.
Yeah.
Mix it up.
Comedy's your first love, right, Susan?
Yeah, I'd say as a punter, I love comedy. So if I have a choice of what I want to watch in the cinema, it's always going to be comedy first. But, I'm a trained actress. I know how to do it all. But yeah, my soft spot is for comedy.
This film deals with, your new film that you've directed, deals with some pretty serious issues, though,
Yeah.
doesn't it? Nothing funny about them.
We're really thin on laughs.
Yeah, tell me.
So in Dark Skin Bruises Differently, it's a story that I've wanted to tell for a really long time. It's looking at a teacher called Miss Lawson, and she's really trying to advocate for a young student called Maria, who she suspects is experiencing abuse at home. But the film is really sort of looking at how adults talk about children and the conclusions that we make about them, and how those conclusions can be quite detrimental to their development and to their lives. And I think that where it came from was personal experiences that I had as a child, but also particularly the Victoria Climbier murder case that I think happened when I was about 12, I think.
Yeah, and which we covered a lot on this programme.
Yeah, and it really, the amount of times that she could have been saved and how she was overlooked really stuck with me as a child. And I think seeing the photo of her and it looking like, every cousin I have and myself as a child. And I just wanted to have a look at those moments where you can adultify children. So when children are sort of working out their relationship with the truth, for instance, what is the difference between imagination and lying?
Yep.
And allowing children to have the space to work that out and the examples. And what is definitely in Maria's case is that teachers around her see that as a point of distrust, when actually I think it's just a child learning their relationship to the truth. So yeah, I wanted to cover all that in 11 minutes.
Gosh, well look, let's have a little look, because there is this moment which I think perfectly sums up the idea of what we now know as a microaggression. Let's have a look.
Yeah.
Grandparents were Pearly King and Queen at some point too.
A proper traditional South East London family. Where have those gone, eh?
Indeed. Indeed.
I don't think that's quite fair. Well, of course you'd say that. What's that supposed to mean?
And again, is that kind of exchange drawn from your own experience?
Well, I've never been a teacher,
right.
To tell the truth, so I don't know so much. But I did work as a teaching assistant for a little while when I was first starting out in my career. And yeah, I think that there were certain experiences that I had as a child with social services that made me think, obviously not at the time, but it's just something that I keep going back to. And I think as somebody who's done a lot of comedy, I just told myself for years that I'm not the person to tell that kind of story, but it just never went away. So once I got the opportunity to make something, I thought I've got to sort of exercise this story.
And you're a Peckham girl yourself, so it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Showing at the London Film Festival.
It is a huge deal. Basically, London Film Festival don't know it, but it is my festival, being a South East Londoner. No, it means everything to get into the London Film Festival. And even, my wonderful producer, Maeva, who's in the studio, we would talk about all the films that we want to watch, and being a part of that conversation and being a part of this amazing selection it's a big deal for a filmmaker.
And do filmmakers get looked after better at film festivals than actors do? Are the parties better?
Do they get looked? That's a really good question. I think that there is just a real love for everybody to do with film at film festivals. What I love about going to film festivals, as well as obviously being a part of it, is that it just feels like a real celebration of what we do, rather than constantly talking about how awful and tiring it is. So it's just a chance to really celebrate our work, which is lovely.
Well, it's lovely talking to you this evening. Thanks for coming in, Susan.
Thank you.
And if you or anyone you know has been affected by any of the issues that we've just been talking about, there's help and resources on our website, itv.com/London. And we're Sport for Choice at this year's London Film Festival, where tonight a timeless Shakespearean tale of power, betrayal and revenge is getting its latest premiere. Hamlet, I don't think there's many laughs in that either, Susan, has been reimagined in a South Asian community in South London. Earlier, Rags Martel caught up with the film's director and one of its stars.
So I'm joined with Hamlet and its director, Riz. Anil, thank you so much for doing this. I watched it this afternoon, such an intense movie. What was doing Hamlet like for you? What's so special about it?
What's so special is that it's a timeless story that keeps captivating audiences, keeps captivating our interest, and it's a story for our times. It's about grieving the illusion of a fair world, realizing that we can feel powerless in the face of it, but we shouldn't give up hope, right? And that's something that I think is really resonating with people today.
Anil, I heard that you weren't a Shakespeare guy.
I was certainly not an anti-Shakespeare guy, but I think like so many people, I left school thinking, perhaps this isn't for me, maybe I'm not intellectual or academic enough, whatever it is. And so when Riz sent me this script, Mike's amazing script, I started to find it kind of personal, relevant and surprising in ways I totally hadn't expected. I saw kind of at the core of this revered play was this sort of amazing, intimate psychological thriller about a guy who's essentially unraveling in the face of grief. And that felt like a timeless story, really. So for us, it became about trying to root that in a modern setting with a modern energy. Yeah.
London. Rich, when you think about Hamlet, you think to be or not to be. How daunting was to do that soliloquy? Do you have trouble with it? How to do it? How do you approach it?
It's interesting because Hamlet's been performed so many times by so many incredible actors over the years. You know that there can never be a definitive version of it. All you can do is put your own spin on it. And that's what we really leaned into, both in terms of the setting, and being a contemporary London family from a specific background, and even the way Anil decided to do To Be or Not to Be. I mean, I don't want to say too much, but audiences will see, I think it's very, very different to how you normally see that iconic speech, the way he staged it, the way he shot it. So I think in every sense, what we try to do is say, listen, we're doing our own thing. And hopefully if we do something bold enough, different enough, that will excite people and that will have people leaning in with curiosity. So I have to say, it was scary, but that was kind of useful because Hamlet's afraid. Hamlet's under pressure. So any of that that I felt, I just tried to lean into it and use it, honestly.
I don't know how much you can talk about that To Be or Not to Be theme, but I watched it and my heart was palpitating after it. But it's what we call a one shot. Where in London can you find that one street without any traffic lights?
Yeah,
where was that?
It's a great question. I mean, the big challenge with these soliloquies, right, was that it didn't feel like a pause in the flow of the film, We didn't want it to feel like, okay, the film stops, Hamlet comes on, shares his inner monologue. It had to be ingrained in the rhythm and flow of the whole story. So that To Be or Not to Be was about finding a way to keep the propulsive energy of the whole film in play, even during this very sort of personal and intimate kind of window into his inner conscience, right? But yeah, I mean, that was weirdly the biggest challenge for that scene, Riz aside, was just finding a stretch of road long enough for that.
What is the stretch of road?
That was the hardest thing about that speech.
It's not actually in London because you just can't.
Just outside.
Just outside it, yeah. I mean,
especially with a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit.
Yeah, that was a killer as well. Yeah. So in the end, I had to text Riz and say, "Listen, you're gonna have about 2 minutes 46 to do this soliloquy," and Riz, being Riz, was like, "All right, that works. Let's just make it work." Yeah. So it brought this kind of energy and urgency to it because we literally had we were gonna end up and run out of road. Yeah.
We've run out of time, sadly. So it's playing at the BFI this week and out on the 6th of February, is that right?
That's correct, yeah.
Thank you very much. Send it back to you. Thank you so much.
Well done, Rags. A reminder of our main story in London tonight. TfL has launched a campaign calling on bystanders to speak up in a bid to tackle hate crime, sexual offences and harassment. It calls on people to act like a friend to those who experience any kind of abuse on its network, urging them to start a conversation with the victim to help diffuse the situation. Recent data show hate crime went up by 28% in 2024 compared with the previous year. Sophia Chowdhury was a victim of racist abuse on the Elizabeth line and says she feels like things are getting worse.
Sadly, I do think incidents like this are happening more frequently on London transport. I know just from friends and family that this has definitely been on the rise. I also know somebody whose children as young as 5 have been a victim of racial abuse. So it's very sad to see that it is rising.
Right, Sally's here. And Sally, can I assure you before you start talking, nobody's going to tap you on the shoulder or anywhere else.
Do you
tell you
know,
to stop talking.
of all the people that probably need tapping on the shoulder, I'm probably one of them. It will come as a great surprise to you, I know, that when I was little, I was a little bit chatty. And
No.
And And when my mum and dad told me to stop talking, they would turn around to me, Sally, would you just stop wittering on? And I was so thrilled today to be in the presence of witterers where it was celebrated. So you know Jack Whitehall, the comedian.
Yes.
And his mum and dad, Michael and Hilary, have the Wittering Whitehall's podcast where that's exactly what they do. It's joyful. And their podcast is going on tour. So today I went to indulge myself in a pile of wittering with them. And it was lovely and chatty. Here we go. We don't stop.
So I think, I'm going up to the village of Covent Garden.
Right, well, Bet,
You're
you
not
can
sitting
think
there.
whatever you want.
Wittering is one word, but there's definitely a few others to describe the comedic scenes between the Whitehalls. When I arrive, their son, the comedian Jack Whitehall, is berating them for not replying to his own wedding invite.
Why have you not RSVP'd to my wedding?
Well, we're busy that day.
Their podcast instantly invites you in.
That would have been quite embarrassing if we had actually arrived as part of the funeral
cortege.
Not just to their lives, but their home here in Putney. And while Hilary is the hostess with the mostess, Michael less so.
Is he as grumpy as he appears on television? And I go, yep.
Yes.
There is no acting required.
Yeah.
They've just started a tour with the podcast, and some of the show is even a mystery to them.
We're going to commune and link up and be in the company of our lovely DLs, our dear listeners, as I call them.
Have you any idea where we're going? 'Cause I haven't.
No, you just get into my car and I drive you to wherever we're going. Or we get on a train, because we love going by train.
One question is whether Winston, once given as a good luck gift, will be joining them.
He's beginning to look a bit knackered. I always say that he would end up looking exactly like Michael McIntyre. And he is beginning to look a bit like Michael McIntyre.
The pair have been married nearly 40 years, so I thought I'd better ask the secrets while I'm here.
I have two secrets. One is pick your battles. Don't sweat the small stuff. It's not worth it. Just go in for the big, heavy-hitting stuff. And secondly, my mother, my saintly mother, who sadly is no longer with us, on the eve of my wedding day said to me, could I give you one piece of advice? Don't let the sun go down on an argument. So I said, OK. And we never have.
We never arguments. Well, occasionally.
They have upcoming tour dates in London if you want to join in with the Wittering. For these two, it's a labour of laughter and love.
Right, as you've probably noticed, the nights are drawing in, but so far things aren't feeling too autumnal, are they? Sally's back now with all the details in her forecast.
Come rain or shine, Octopus Energy sponsors ITV London weekday weather.
Hello again, a very good evening to you. Hope you had a great start to the week. It's almost quite comic, this photo, isn't it? Those very sparse roses there, a bit like the sunshine at the moment. So as we go through this week, a lot of cloud around and a little on the dull side. Mostly dry, but there is a bit of drizzle, potentially overnight, maybe in the morning. So that's the only thing we need to watch out for. And just getting a little cooler as the week goes on as well. And it's all because we've got high pressure over us. It's keeping the weather very still and settled and trapping a lot of cloud underneath it as well. So that's why it's a little bit gloomy at times, but on the whole, fairly manageable. So here we go for the detail. We'll rattle through tonight because not a lot going on apart from a lot of clouds staying with us overnight and keeping things fairly mild. So we're in double figures. So you might be all right with your heating at the moment off. As we go into tomorrow, sunrise at 7:15. It's a similar day to today. Plenty of cloud around. There's a slightly higher chance maybe of the odd glimmer of brightness, but I wouldn't hang your hat on it. Temperature similar to today, if not down a degree. Highs of 14 to 17. And then into the evening, again, plenty of dry weather. As I said, watch out overnight and into the mornings just for a touch of drizzle. Couldn't completely rule it out. So for the rest of the week, a very similar story. It looks like Thursday and Friday at the moment might be a little brighter. And then there's the temperatures as well. So they're just coming down by a couple of degrees by daytime. That's it. Take care. Have a super day or evening. And I'll see you later on. Cheerio.
Octopus Energy sponsors ITV London weekday weather.
And that's it from us. The evening news is next with Mary, but for now, from all of us, enjoy your evening. Bye-bye.